Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carla. If you're new here, welcome to this channel. If you're returning, I appreciate you so very, very much. All right. So today we are talking about the 2022 Oscars Slapgate, aka the conflict between Will Smith and Chris Rock. Without further ado, let's just get started. Before we officially begin, I just wanted to say that this video is to just provide another perspective on what happened prior to the incident, in particular from a disability standpoint. This is not necessarily a video excusing behaviors, bad behaviors in particular, or really trying to sway your opinion on what happened one way or another. Just a different perspective. Okay, so let's officially begin. This video is going to be set up in terms of I'm gonna just give a little bit of insight on why that joke was problematic, some recommendations to the key players within this incident, a little pep talk to Jada or anyone that associated or resonated with Jada, and lastly, just wrapping everything up in a nice, beautiful bow in terms of the impact on the disabilities community. Okay, so let's just briefly go over why that joke was a little problematic or it could rub Jada or anyone that would have been Jada the wrong way. So, the joke in question was comparing Jada to Demi Moore in the movie G.I. Jane. As seen on Oscars night, Jada has a shaved head or a very, very, very close cut, as did Demi Moore in that role of G.I. Jane. And apparently, Chris Rock stated after the incident he was unaware that Jada has a medical condition, the alopecia. So, the joke in particular was problematic, even without the alopecia, because quintessentially, that comment in question that was made into a joke was saying, and on that night, she did not measure up to the ideal standard of beauty. Haha. That's essentially what that joke was referring or inferring. And that's not okay in this day and age. With the Me Too movement and women's rights and trying to reclaim our power, our sensuality, our business acumen and being taken seriously, pay wage differentials, the fact that jokes are still being made in reference to a woman not measuring up to a standard of beauty is a little cheap and inappropriate. All right. Next reason as to why the joke was inappropriate. If we compare the two women, Jada was dressed for Oscars night in a designer gown, heels, makeup, jewelry, and most likely shapewear. In G.I. Jane, Demi Moore was dressed for combat. She was in combat. She was a warrior. Yes, she was brave and courageous and a total trailblazer. And I know that there are many that say that technically it would be a compliment to be compared to such a wonderful character. And that's true in a different context. If you go back and again listen to the joke and the tonality and the delivery of the joke, it was not complimentary, praising, nor exalting Jada in any way, shape, or form. It was a joke coming from a comedian. So again, it's not only was a little inappropriate to Jada, but it was kind of an insult to her glam team. The months of preparation. Ladies, let's picture this. On your prom night or your wedding day, just those major events where you have to look your best, at a corporate event or some event where you're representing yourself and potentially the one you love. It takes a lot of planning and effort that goes into that. Looking your best, your your makeup, thinking about the style, the jewelry, everything that goes into it. And to be compared to someone in a combat zone, again, a little inappropriate, and we can do better in this day and age. Okay, now let's move on for a few recommendations to the players within this incident. To Chris Rock, please rethink jokes commenting on a woman's body. In this day and age, again, it just can be misinterpreted so many different ways. You're a genius, professional, and really one of the GOATs. I know you can do better. So do it. Also, in the moment on that night, really, if you would have flattered Jada and told her she was beautiful, or in reference to the joke, just mentioned how brave she is for wearing that style or courageous for coming out like that, that probably would have set the tone and it would have been less awkward and less offensive. Lastly, you may want to think about taking some self defense classes. They say the best defense is a good offense, and it takes twice as much energy to swing and miss your opponent than to actually hit your opponent. So, anticipating those things, you could have gotten out of that slap. Well, that's all I have for you. Next, Will. I know you were protecting your family and maybe thinking about those times when you were unable to in your childhood. And in his book, to my audience, in his book, he mentioned he's been in therapy. So just remember those coping mechanisms and positive things in your life, and those positive things about your wife would have helped a great deal. I think some of that was exhibited that night in terms of the coping mechanisms, like standing up and walking and not stewing in your feelings. So maybe in the future you may consider walking in the opposite direction of the hurt or the pain in that moment. And how romantic would it have been if you just would have swept up Jada in your arms and walked away. Like picturesque, the officer and a gentleman moment at the end of that movie. So romantic. And lastly, if you truly felt like you and your wife had been disrespected by Chris, the gentlemanly thing to do would have been to challenge Chris Rock. Yes, challenge like a duel, which interestingly enough, two people that agree to engage in combat is still legal in this day and age in the state of Texas and Washington. So that could have been done as well. And there have been many challenges throughout history in America, England, even in Western America with the cowboys or amongst gentlemen in the Regency period and beyond. So that is it for Will. And lastly, to Jada, this is more of a pep talk and remembering what you do have. To Jada, Please remember you have a wonderful life. Everyone is talking about what you have in terms of the alopecia, and you talk about it a lot, quintessentially saying, what you don't have. And I truly felt for you and understood you, what you were talking about, losing your hair and really losing that control over your look when discovering the alopecia. But please remember, you have a family unit that works for you, including a husband that literally went to bat for you. You have your children that are thriving on this earth. You have your wonderful large group of friends, including the late, great Tupac Shakur. We can't forget those wonderful memories and the fact that you've been friends with many people over the years and had a true impact on these people. You have the future, you have your career, everything you've done thus far, and everything you're going to do in the future. Which brings me to another thing you have is the future advocacy. I truly hope this is a moment that's utilized to, as you mentioned, to heal and to really shine light on issues like being a woman and what that means in this day and age, in particular, a woman of color of African American descent. All right. And lastly, you have the alopecia community and the disabled community now that, trust me, we're on your side and we understand, or we want to very much. I hope that helps. To my viewers, I just want to say again, this is not trying to sway you one way or the other, just trying to get you to understand another perspective on that night, in particular, why certain emotions were demonstrated. Okay, and what does this mean to the disabilities community? This is really a twofold issue, but one that unfortunately I haven't seen what I've mentioned thus far. I haven't seen it too much in people talking about what this means or why that was offensive to a woman with a medical condition. And that's something Will mentioned. He freely admitted he accepts the role he plays in terms of his power, in terms of being in the spotlight, but it was just too much for him to handle, seeing the person he loves made as a joke for her medical conditions, or a condition, his words on his social media pages. So I hope this definitely is eye-opening to clearing up some of those lines between comedy and what that means in terms of womanhood, and in particular one with a medical condition that is a woman. What is fair game? What is appropriate? I hope some of those lines are unblurred, and violence is never the answer, but one has to take accountability for the words that come out of your mouth and how hurtful they can be. So, yes, we all need to use our words more, but please, I caution you, viewer, choose your words more carefully and try to think about the person that you're saying those words to, comedy or not. All right, we are almost done. Just a little final wrapping up of this video. Just would like to say there's many other things we could be talking about. I know the internet is ablaze with opinions and perspectives on all the players involved on that night, and justifiably so. It was a moment definitely of pop culture history. However, there are many other things that could be on people's tongues on the internet for your eyes to view and in your ears to listen to. And let's talk about some examples. The Emmett Till Anti-Lynching Act, inflation, Kentanji Jackson, the Russia-Ukraine war, Florida Bill HB 1557, aka Don't Say Gay, and lastly, the Kentucky Derby's coming up. So that's exciting and something we can look forward to. Do you have your hat? Do you like horse racing? And it's something very disabled friendly. Just watching in terms of those that are able to see, and it is broadcast as well for those that may be hard of hearing. So please check it out and something to look forward to and exciting. Okay. Thank you again, viewer, for your viewership. I appreciate you so very much. Please, if you like this video, like. If you want me to talk about these issues more, comments on what you'd like to see in an upcoming video. Or if you have something to say, you can always comment or email me at my information on my page. Please share this video. That's a new thing I'm going to be saying now. Share it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to help me grow this channel and all that jazz. This is Courageous Carla. Thank you so much. Goodbye.